The experience of going through heart surgery is really confronting. It's overwhelming at times. After my surgery and through my recovery, I had support from family, from friends, from my husband. Some people more than others, as is natural in those kind of situations. I also saw a psychologist for a little while afterwards. I found it was really, really useful to have someone that I could speak to completely openly about what I'd been through and what I'd experienced. When I had my surgery, it was the first time I'd really confronted my mortality. There's a point in a conversation with the surgeon where they say, there is X chance that this might result in death, or there is X chance of this complication or that complication. And I'd never been part of that kind of conversation before in my life. You know, there's a time when it's really confronting when you're being prepped for surgery and you're lying down on the table and the anaesthetist is, you know, putting the mask on and the nurses are there and you're like, all right, this is it, we'll see how it goes. And working with a psychologist to talk through all that in a safe environment where I didn't feel like I was risking upsetting someone was invaluable for me.
My mum's a very practical person, and if I'm looking for practical support, like you'll stay at home, we'll look after you, please don't worry, you're being a drama queen. If I'm looking for that kind of advice, I go for my mum. But my immediate family has been really supportive, and I think because they've had to grow up with this too. I also have a very supportive boyfriend who is absolutely wonderful and has never made me feel self-conscious or silly, and even when I can't even articulate what I'm feeling, he's there. And I think that's really important that, you know, you can find those kind of support people.
Yeah, we're very lucky with the support we had at the time. As Emma mentioned, from teachers at the school, but family and friends, and even a little boy goes to daycare. It's only about 10 minutes drive from our house, but there's no public transport out there at all. It's sort of a little rural property he goes to daycare at, and we were lucky enough that his carer for that whole first year picked him up and dropped him off every day. Because Emma couldn't do it anymore. I normally leave home for work at 6 a.m, so he's not even awake, so would have had to massively rearrange my sort of working arrangements to be able to deal with that.
And then we had meal drop-offs and people constantly dropping food off of work colleagues, people from town, like parents of kids that I don't know where they found out where I lived, but they did, and they were dropping stuff off all the time.
I went and saw a psychologist after she had a cardiac arrest. Not for an extended period, just a few sort of catch-ups, and it's sort of still a bit shocked after that, but sort of thought, so okay, life goes on, and felt all right. I probably hadn't come to terms with things properly at that stage, and by the end of that year, Emma was up to her 4th stint in hospital for the year. I think around then and in the months to follow, I sort of definitely realised that I wasn't doing fine or anything close to it. So I went back and saw another psychologist for quite a period, and it was a very difficult period, I guess. The first, well, not quite at 2 years, but first year and a half.
It was particularly challenging for my parents. They'd seen me have surgery at 6 months of age, and then to see me going through it all again was challenging. And in fact, one of the toughest parts about the whole experience was me having to tell my mum and dad that I needed to have surgery again. I'm getting teary just thinking about it. But it was also challenging for my parents' friends and my uncles and aunts to see me go through it again, because it brought back emotions from 35 years ago. I know my husband relied on his friends, and they were amazing, and everyone banded together, but family and friends do need an outlet as well. It's not easy. Those initial weeks post open heart surgery are challenging. You're in the hospital. My husband was at the hospital every day with me. It's exhausting. And then you come home and you need a carer. Like, you actually need a carer when you come home from open heart surgery. You can't be on your own. So we lived with my parents for a couple of weeks. You know, the impost on your family and friends it's big. It's not just you. It takes a whole village to get through that experience. It's not easy, that's for sure.
I had a good partner at the time who helped me through it, and I was with him, had been with him prior to being told I needed surgery, and I was with him a few years post-surgery as well. So he was there for the entire journey. Having him there was really helpful. Family, of course, were helpful. Doing my own research, trying to take control of the things that you can take control of, and accepting the parts that you can't control was really important as well.
I have to say, as a father, Alicia's made it so easy because she's been so strong. I don't know if that's an impact we've had, or it's just totally come from her. Either way, I'm happy about it.